Hello and welcome to Real Talk with T&M. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you showing up. I'm your host, Myranda. I interchangeably go by Myra or M. Tina, my co-host, is not with me today because I made the executive decision to do this episode by myself. It's a bonus episode. I've never dropped 2 episodes in 1 month, let alone on the same day. So this one's a little bit of a special treat. When I say special, I really do mean special. We decided to create this podcast because we wanted to help other people along with their mental health and their well-being, and just kind of make their life a little bit easier to maybe, find somebody that they relate to, maybe find hope or inspiration out of what is being discussed on our channel. But today, as much as that is our goal with this podcast, I'll share further on in the episode why this is such a special episode to me. Because here we openly talk about the hardest parts of mental health, healing, and real life, and everything in between. So today's not going to be any different. Today's episode is one that I've been thinking about a lot. I'm going to be showing up with honesty and heart and maybe a lot of vulnerability. My question that I would pose to you is, have you ever felt so overwhelmed by your mind that it feels like your only escape is giving up? Yeah, me too. Today we're gonna go there. It's May, which means that it's officially Mental Health Awareness Month. Some conversations aren't easy, but they're necessary. I've gone back and forth about sharing this, but I know when I was at my lowest, hearing someone else's honesty helped me feel less alone. So this episode is for anyone who has felt broken, hopeless, or ashamed of their struggle. Before we start, today's conversation discusses suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, clinical depression, severe mental illness, sexual assault, and my personal mental breakdown and personal struggles that I've faced. If you are in crisis and you need support right now, please pause and call or text 988 in the US, or reach out to someone that you trust. Please take care of yourself while listening. If you are in a vulnerable place and these topics are heavy for you right now, it's okay to push pause. And if you need to come back, that's okay too. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just someone sharing a lived experience. And in the description box, I'm going to be leaving mental health resources. So if you are in need, please utilize those resources. So today I really wanted to focus on peeling back the stigma around suicide and depression and mental illness. I'm going to be sharing my own journey through my mental illnesses, strategies, and the hard-won hope that kept me here. You're going to witness my pain and resilience, and I will tell you about how I found the strength when hope felt completely gone. So let's hold this space together. I promise it's one that you're not going to want to miss. So take a deep breath, get comfy, and let's unpack this together. Today I'm not going to go into all of the details because some of this is still hard to talk about. It's not an easy story to tell. And there are truths that I never thought I would share. But it's a real story. And this is what it took to survive. And this is the beginning of how I found my way back. I've spent a very long time trying to heal privately. But lately, excuse me, I've realized how often people suffer in silence, just like I did. And I'm sharing this in the hopes that this might matter to someone else who needs to hear it. I'm sharing it for somebody who needs to hear that life does get better, and that there is hope. I know that definitely would have mattered so much to me back then. So let's get into it. I call this moment my ground zero. It was the fall of 2022. I had just come out of a 2-month period of psychosis. That is a special kind of hell that I would not wish on anybody. And very shortly after, I was sexually assaulted. And I was sexually assaulted in my own home. It was almost instant for me. I remember the moment that I last saw myself. I completely blacked out. And I went into a 4-month period of dissociative amnesia. I don't remember anything. I can't recall anything. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I just don't remember 4 months of my life. But when I came back into the present reality, my entire life had completely changed, and for the worst. I had literally lost everything. I had lost my job. I had lost my marriage. And as I sat and I learned about what had happened while I was that dissociated, I noticed that my arm was bandaged. And I then learned that I had had a very serious second attempt. It was my second suicide attempt. And that had occurred only days prior. It was a very foggy time for me. But I do remember the defining moment that shifted the trajectory of my life. I was sitting on the floor and I was holding a letter that I had written for my next suicide attempt. I was more than seriously contemplating. As I sat alone in the silence, I felt absolutely hopeless, and the most unbearable pain that I have ever felt in my entire life. I don't even have words that I can put it into, like that moment where I was at. Undescribable. I literally had tears streaming down my face. And I had the thoughts, my God, I don't even recognize myself anymore. I've absolutely lost my mind. I'm not myself. And the following thoughts: well, do you want to live? If you do, you've got to be the one who saves you. You've got to do something, because I can't go on living like this. I don't know how I can. And then figure it out. It was in that moment that I put the letter down, and I had my phone in my other hand, and I picked it up. I began Googling what resources were available for somebody who was suicidal, and I ended up finding the 988 hotline. Because of my situation, it's a little bit more complex than like an average person's because of my physical health issues. And I knew trying to explain everything and describe my situation via text was not going to be the most optimal way of addressing the issue at hand. So I decided to call. It was urgent. I needed to. So when I called, there was this man that picked up, and he asked me, he goes, "What's going on? How can I help you?" And instantly, I turned into a puddle of tears. I could barely choke out the words. I didn't even know how to name it. I said, "I want to kill myself and I need help." And that's when things began to shift. That began our discussion that resulted in him finding a resource that fit my needs. I didn't think that was going to be an option that was available, but he found something for me. I was referred to a local mental health facility. After I was done talking with him, I hung up and I immediately called the facility. A woman picked up the phone, and this time telling her what was going on seemed to feel like it was a little bit easier. And it was like there was like this glimmer of hope that maybe I could get help. I didn't even know that things could get as beautiful as they are today. I never fathomed it. I just had a little bit of hope. But that hope made such a difference. She asked me to come in immediately for an intake, so I scheduled an appointment for the following day. I went in the next day and I did my intake, and they were able to determine that what was best for me was to immediately start an intensive outpatient therapy program, specifically for trauma. They got me situated. We got everything organized and told me that I'd be starting the next day. However, they told me that if I didn't show up the next day, they were gonna come and get me. And I was like, all right, not in the mood for a groupie sock vacation here, so let's do this. I've already started, the ball's already rolling, so I guess let's do this. I showed up and I began my first day in my IOP program. It was my first of 5 IOP programs. Let that sink in. It took me 5 IOP programs. which is about 18 months of intensive outpatient therapy. Every day, and I literally mean Monday through Friday, every day, I would go in and I would have intensive therapy. I also had to keep up with my weekly therapy appointments with my individual therapist on top of that. And then I was finally able to find and get into a phenomenal psychiatrist. I'm so lucky that I got into the psychiatrist. He's an amazing resource for me. He finally properly diagnosed me. I had been misdiagnosed for over a decade. And when he properly diagnosed me, he immediately got me on the right regimen for my medications. I'm not gonna lie, that whole entire experience, the whole 18 months were absolutely grueling. I struggled every day, but I kept showing up. That is something that matters, is to continually show up. You know, healing is not pretty, but it is sacred. It's the work of coming home to yourself over and over and over. For 13 and a half years, I dealt with suicide ideations daily, literally all day. It took me until I was in my last IOP program, and I remember one day I was like, wow, I haven't had suicide ideations in a couple days. It's kind of weird, but like it's really nice, but like, okay, you know? I remember the first time that I experienced the feeling of safety. And the first time that I experienced peace, and the first time that I had experienced happiness in years and years. Today, I haven't dealt with suicide ideations in over a year and a half, almost 2 years now. If I do get, an ideation that comes into my mind, it's so easy for me to manage now. Like, it's not something that is like a serious issue like it was back then. It didn't consume me. My current ones don't consume me like the way that my old ones did. And I remember when I realized that, and I was like, I have my mind back. I have my life back. I will say, don't get me wrong. Even back then, I've always been a very highly functional person. Even despite all my struggles with mental illness, like I was still able to hold down a job. I could get out of bed. I could get ready for the day. I was able to like fake my way through the day. No matter how bad I was struggling, I could fake it. But now I'm not faking it. Now my symptoms from all of my mental illnesses, they don't interfere with my life. I've had some really, really bad days still. Even after all of my therapy and everything, after learning all of the coping skills and all of the tools and, being on the right medications, I still have really bad days sometimes. But I've learned and I have spent time developing those skills and tools that I need. They are so helpful to me. I've also dedicated myself to a daily routine that I do. That also keeps me in check. And I'd say probably most importantly is that I have built a really strong and reliable support system full of some of the most understanding and kind, compassionate, and loving people. These people are the ones who told me that they would rather hear about my hell than see me at my funeral. These are the people who have never given up on me. As I look back with gratitude for the woman who I was back then, I can look at it with gratitude because she's the woman who got me through all of that. She didn't give up on me. I'm so grateful that I survived. So grateful. Because I didn't just survive to see the next day. I'm thriving now. And that's not anything that I ever thought I would ever say. And most importantly, I'm alive to see things get better. And I'm so grateful to be where I am today. I used to drown every single day. And every single day seemed to be getting harder than the one previous. I didn't think that I could make it. I didn't think I would, but I did. And I'm finally okay. I'm better than okay. I'm happy. And I'm so grateful. And that isn't due to just one thing or one person. Every day I have to make sure I don't miss any of my medications. To be very vulnerable with you, I take antidepressants. I take anti-anxiety medication. I take an antipsychotic. I have mood stabilizers. Like, I never thought that these were medications that I would need. But now that I'm on them, I absolutely refuse to miss a single day of my medications. It is that much of a noticeable difference to me. I know how key they are in keeping my brain's chemistry balanced. Every week, I have a therapy appointment with my therapist. I never miss my therapy appointments. Never. Like, even if I'm sick, I'll still show up. I'm like, all right, it's a telehealth appointment day today. And she takes me as I am, and we still do our therapy. I will some days just do talk therapy with her. But other days we'll really hone in and focus on mending the trauma that I still carry with me, because I still do. I still do have trauma that affects me. And we do that through processing things through EMDR sessions. Every week, once a week, I do a Spravato treatment. For those of you who don't know what Spravato is, it's basically a ketamine treatment. In short, I never, ever miss an appointment with my psychiatrist. I remain open and honest and transparent about where I'm at with all of my mental health professionals. And I keep that relationship as healthy as possible. I will let them know if there's times where things feel like they're beginning to be, too much. We've created a safety plan. And if I start to notice things changing, I immediately reach out to the people that I'm supposed to. I don't just wait. I don't hide. I don't isolate. I don't hide my struggles anymore. And I keep in contact with my chosen family. I call them my IOP family. But I also keep in contact with my loved ones. And when I'm asked how I'm doing, bet your ass, I will answer that question honestly. So if you don't want to know the answer to that question honestly, don't ask me, because I'm no longer ashamed to answer that question honestly. We have developed a code word. Sometimes it's just really hard to be like, hey, I need support. I need help. It's just hard and too much to say sometimes. So our code word is, can I have 8 minutes of your time? And I use that when I feel myself starting to doubt myself and my ability to get through what I'm going through and what I'm feeling. And my friends use it with me too. As I've looked back at the last 3 years, I have finally realized that I am my own medicine. I'm the one who saved myself when I wished that somebody would step up and save me. And although I didn't realize it then, I realize that now. And I was able to do that back then because somewhere in me, I loved myself enough to be my own hero. I will say this as well, is that healing is not linear. It is, more often than not, it's messy as fuck. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I have my shit all together. Like I said before, I still have my hard days, but I'm here and I have hope. And if you're here listening to this, you're still here too. And that means something. Despite all of our struggles, we have nothing to be ashamed of because we're survivors. And that is incredible. And a blessing. So if you're hearing this and this resonates with you, if you're struggling right now, please know this. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not a burden. You are not alone. You matter. You are loved. You are needed. There's help. There's still more ahead for you. Thank you so much for listening to something so personal. And if you're someone who loves a person who's going through this, thank you for staying. It matters more than you know. Now, I told you I would tell you why this episode is so special to me. Whew, let me rein that back in. This episode I'm just gonna say I'm sorry. I know I'm gonna cry. I can't rein this back in. This episode is dedicated to my friend Hung, who we lost to suicide just 2 weeks ago. Hung was one of the brightest lights that I had ever encountered in my life. He was strong. He was one of the strongest, most resilient, and without competition, one of the funniest souls to grace this earth. Hung was fiercely loyal and unwaveringly reliable. He had a heart that was made of solid gold, through and through. I really miss my friend. I miss his laugh. I miss his smile. I miss the warmth of his hug. I wanted to honor him by speaking openly about mental illness, the pain that stays hidden, and the healing that lives on in our stories. This one's for you, Hung. And this one is also for anyone who has been touched by the quiet pain that so often goes unseen. And for everyone who's ever felt alone in the dark, you are seen and you are loved. Take care.